Award-winning natural bodybuilder and international executive chef Ramel Griardi shares his best recipes for building strength. Sports performance trainer and nutrition expert Joe Arco coaches us through the nutritional components of those recipes and shares his knowledge working with professional athletes.
Today on Body Fuel, we're going to bring a little taste of the islands to spice up your chicken and rice dish. Now, Ramel, how often do you eat chicken and rice?
You know what, Joe? I eat chicken and rice in all my diets, actually.
Now, for a lot of people, strength building, bodybuilding, chicken and rice is almost a staple in everyone's diet, but it can get pretty boring.
Yeah, you know what? You're right, but when you spice it up and you use different marinades, it makes a big difference.
Now, what we're going to be doing today is Chef Bodybuilding Ramel is going to show you a very uncommon way of using a very traditional Jamaican seasoning.
Exactly it. What we're going to do is we're going to make a Jamaican jerk spice.
That sounds fantastic.
What we're going to start off with is a little bit of all-season spice, some salt, a little bit of nutmeg, some pepper, some cinnamon, and some thyme.
Now, this is going to serve as kind of the base for our marinade?
Exactly.
Now,
And we're
anything
also
else?
going to add a little bit of other stuff there, Joe.
Okay, what do we got?
We're going to add a little bit of green onion, some regular onions, and some jalapeno. What we want to do is we want to make sure that our hands are protected.
Okay.
So what I want to do is I want to add a little bit of olive oil onto my hands.
So this is actually before you start cutting into the jalapeno. If you didn't want to use olive oil, maybe some latex gloves would be another alternative as well.
As you notice here, the jalapeno has this little rim here and the seeds. You don't want to eat that part. That's where all the heat comes from. So you want to just take it from the flesh part alone.
Now, we're going to be using a whole jalapeno in this.
Sure, why not?
Oh,
More
boy.
the heat, the better.
Nice and hot.
Exactly.
Now, if you didn't want to have that much spice, so is the jalapeno going to add the majority of the heat to this marinade?
Yes, it will actually.
Okay, so if you didn't want a lot of that heat, but you still want a lot of the seasoning, you could probably take out the jalapeno or substitute it for something else?
Yeah, well, you can take it off altogether, Joe.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is take the jalapeno, we've already cut up, grab the blender. We're going to add the jalapeno inside there, Joe.
Okay. Now, jalapenos are also very thermogenic. Now, what that means is that eating jalapenos will actually increase your body's temperature, meaning burning more calories. So for up to about 20 to 30 minutes after eating this, your body will be burning calories. Now, I'll place this down here for you, Ramel.
Okay, perfect.
Now, we got a whole red onion. Now, would you recommend using any other onion in this dish?
Well, you could use the white onions. I just like the sweetness of the red onions compared to the regular white onions.
Okay.
You hold that, Joe?
Sure.
Perfect.
So far we have our jalapenos in here. We're now putting in our red onions.
Perfect, Joe.
Now, what else are we going to be adding in here?
We're going to add a little bit of green onions.
Okay. So already we're starting to get a nice color, nice flavor, nice smells in here already. Okay.
Perfect, Joe.
So next will be our spices, I'm assuming.
Exactly.
Okay. So first one we have the allspice,
Some salt,
some salt,
nutmeg, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of cinnamon.
Cinnamon is an absolutely wonderful, wonderful spice.
And thyme.
Not only will it reduce blood pressure and cholesterol, but cinnamon is also great at basically reducing the sugar content of carbohydrate foods. So as you're eating carb foods, as you see, we're going to be adding rice to this. The cinnamon will actually reduce the amount of blood sugar levels that are being risen by those carbs.
Now, Joe, we're going to add a little bit of coconut oil.
Now, coconut oil is one of my favorite oils to use.
Why is that, Joe?
Well, coconut oil, people are very concerned when it comes to coconut oil because it's so high in saturated fats. But what people don't realize is that coconut oil is very high in medium chain triglycerides. And what is very unique about that is the body can digest that very easily. And instead of storing it as fat, so let's say, for example, eating lard or other saturated fats, that doesn't really get used as fuel very easily. This coconut oil actually gets used as fuel as opposed to being stored as fat. So by incorporating this into the diet, you can actually use it very quickly as an energy source, which is very important for athletes or people working out.
Now, in case you're wondering, coconut oil doesn't look like regular oil. It comes out looking like, kind of like lard, but it's actually in a solid state like this. And now, Joe, can you blend that up for me, please?
Now, how long are we going to blend this up for, Ramel?
Just for a few seconds, just to make sure that we mellow everything together. That's looking great, Joe.
Blending nicely.
Perfect. You can stop it now. You could add that to our bowl there, Joe.
Sure. Now, notice you just change cutting boards there, Ramel.
Exactly, because what we're going to do is we're going to actually butterfly our chicken.
Okay.
And we want to make sure we have a nice clean board.
So trying to make sure whenever you're using meats, raw meats, you don't want to cross-contaminate. So whether you're using knives, spatulas, or cutting boards, make sure to always use different cutting boards or different utensils.
Now, Joe, as you can see here, the breast, you have a nice large breast, so you want to just cut that off a little bit.
Okay.
And butterfly it. That
Now that
way,
is a pretty thick chicken breast. Now, what's the purpose of us butterflying this right now?
it'll take a lot less time for cooking, Joe.
Okay, so especially if you don't want to spend a huge amount of time in the kitchen, or you want to make sure you ensure a nice tender piece of chicken breast, and you have a very large chicken breast, fillet it, or as Romel's doing right now, what we call butterflying that chicken breast would be very convenient to make it cook a lot faster.
Exactly. Now, I always like butterflying. See where the fillet is?
Right.
I like to open it up where the fillet is, and then turn it on the other side, and then I'll open up the other side as well too. It'll just give you a nice butterfly where it's even cooking.
Excellent.
And
so there
even
isn't too many
distribution of
thick
heat.
parts or thin parts. They're all pretty much relatively
Exactly.
the same.
Could you grab me that rub or that marinade, please? Thank
That
you.
smells absolutely fantastic right now.
Now we're gonna take that and we're gonna dredge that in.
Okay.
Now, if you could just mix that around, Joe, for me.
So grabbing these tongs here, we're gonna mix this around. So pretty much cover the surface area of the chicken. Now, how long will we let this marinate for?
Now, Joe, you could let that marinate for roughly half an hour to 24 hours. It's up to yourself.
So if you really want to pack in some of this flavor and fuse all that marinated,
You're gonna have to marinate it for longer,
Okay, so
Joe,
just wrap it up, throw it in the fridge.
and just leave it inside the fridge for a while.
So we're gonna let this set aside for a little bit. That's nice and covered right now.
Perfect, Joe. Now, what we're gonna do, Joe, is we're gonna start to make our rice.
Now, what kind of rice are we gonna be doing today?
We're gonna do brown rice and peas.
Nice. What kind of rice do you normally eat?
I always eat brown rice. For my diet, higher in fibers, it's a lot better for me.
Now, brown rice takes a little bit longer to cook than obviously, an instant rice or something like that, but it's so much better for you. Now, the brown rice that we're gonna be using right now is in fact more of a low glycemic carbohydrate, meaning that when you're eating these foods, they won't spike up your sugar levels that high. As soon as you start spiking up sugar levels, the ability to lose fat is gone.
Now, Joe, what I always do to my rice, whether it's brown or white rice, is I wash it.
Now, I'm assuming it comes in the package pretty much clean.
No, Joe, there's a lot of sedimentation in there, so you want to wash it maybe 2 or 3 times, actually.
Okay, so that'll kind of get rid of all the sedimentation, clean the rice off.
Exactly. What we want to do is we want to take that pot, beautiful,
So we got roughly about here
Add
1
our
cup
rice.
of rice.
and we're going to add our coconut milk.
Now, coconut milk is another form of coconut kind of liquid that I love to use. And one of my secret weapons, actually, when I'm working with the national kickboxing team, is coconut water, which a lot of people don't know about. Coconut water is an amazing, amazing replacement for a lot of the sugar performance drinks that you normally would buy. Reason being, it has a lot of natural sugars in it, plus all the electrolytes your body needs to replenish itself.
Also, we're going to add a little bit of water. So what you guys are going to be using is 1 cup rice to 2 cups water, so 2 to 1 ratio.
Perfect. Now, the cinnamon sticks in here are going to add a lot of nice flavor to that rice as well.
We're going to add also a little bit of peas, whether it's frozen or fresh. Usually, most of the peas these days comes in frozen. It's actually a better way to get your peas, tell you the truth.
Let's get this started here. So we're going to fire this up. We'll get this on nice and high. Now, do you want me to cover this right away?
Not right away. What
Okay.
we want to do is we want to get a little bit of a rolling boil there, and we want to season that up, Joe. Always make sure you season your food,
Got a little bit of salt going on here.
and just a little bit of pepper.
Okay, so this is going to come to a boil. In the meantime, we're going to let this marinate. So our chicken's marinating in the jerk seasoning.
That's exactly it.
This is going to come to a boil. We're going to cover this. How long is that going to take?
That's going to take roughly around 30 minutes, and then we're going to lower down the heat to a little bit of a
And
simmer.
once this boils, lid goes on.
Exactly. Now, our grill is nice and hot. We're going to add a little bit of nonstick spray there.
Now, why do we have this on a high heat?
We want to add high heat because we want to make sure that it's seared off. Can you hear that? Oh, that sounds amazing, isn't that?
Now, just to remind you guys, we've butterflied. These are pretty big chicken breasts. So we've actually taken them and butterflied them to make it a little bit thinner to save a lot of time on the cooking. How long is this going to take now?
It should take about 10, maybe 15 minutes at the most.
Well, this is already starting to smell absolutely fantastic. Now, we're going to grab a new set of tongs here to use for our chicken. Now, what do you want to do in terms of placement? I know you're a big fan of those grill marks. You're waiting for the grill marks, aren't you?
You're exactly right. You know
Go
what,
ahead.
Joe? I want to take those chicken,
Yep.
and I want to
Little
start to-
rotation.
yeah, a little rotation, Joe. That way you have those nice crisscross, those nice diamond marks there. You know what, Joe? Let's check the rice there. Oh, look at that. It's
We still
pretty
have our cinnamon sticks in here and our bay leaves, so we're gonna get rid of those right now. We don't need to eat
Perfect.
those. Okay,
perfect, Joe. Want to grab me that large plate there? Beautiful.
hand that to you.
Beautiful. Look at that.
Hand you the rice.
Thank you, Joe.
You want these flipped?
Yes, please.
Now, as you can see, we have these nice diamond marks
Beautiful.
on
Look
our
at those,
chicken,
eh?
searing off nicely. Now, it's pretty important too when you're talking about carbohydrate sources that not all carbohydrates are bad. You need carbohydrates to fuel your body. So what people don't realize is that there's a couple things in terms of timing when it comes to carbs and also the types of carbohydrates. So something like this would be excellent post-workout. So while you're working out, you're using a lot of those sugars and carbohydrates that are already found in the muscles. You need to replenish that for your next workout. People who try to work out either on empty stomachs or they've been carb depleted for so long don't have the strength or the energy necessary to build that strength and muscle.
That's why I always have my carbs earlier during the day.
Yeah. Now, if you are going to be working out, let's say, for example, 5, 6 o'clock at night, it's still fine to, take in those carbs post-workout. You won't have the same effect as if you worked out in the morning and had the carbohydrates at night as well. Now, this is starting to smell absolutely fantastic. It's coming along pretty well.
And what we're going to do after this, Joe, is we're going to place it on a plate, let it rest, and we're going to tent it.
Now, what do you mean by tenting and resting?
Okay, first, Joe, what you want to do is you want to let the chicken rest. Once you let the chicken rest, what happens is that all the natural juices go back into that chicken itself.
Yeah.
And for tenting, meaning that you're going to keep that warm and get that same temperature throughout the whole chicken.
So let's say, for example, I'm getting a little anxious. You know what? It's kind of hard. All this beautiful food is cooking right in front of me, and all I want to do is eat it. I'm not going to lie to you. I want to throw that chicken on that rice, get a knife, get a fork, and start to eat. So what you want me to do instead is, you're killing me here. You want me to take this chicken, place it on here, tent it a little bit.
Tent it
Now,
a little bit.
if I were to actually take this chicken right now and just start slicing, what would happen?
What's going to happen is the juices are coming out of that chicken itself.
Okay, and a lot commonly too, especially if you're making, let's say, something like steak. You take the steak right off the barbecue or the grill, you can't wait, you cut it, all the juices just start to pour everywhere.
Exactly.
Now, by tenting and leaving it here, will you still kind of keep that heat and keep that,
You're going to
juice?
keep, that's exactly it.
Let's take this right now. We'll start getting this plated.
Can you grab me that? Here.
Sure. There you
Beautiful.
go.
Thank you, Joe. And what I'm going to start to do is I'm going to start to slice my chicken. I like to slice at a nice angle.
Is there any particular way that you want to slice? So when you're, for example, when you're cutting beef, you want to, I don't know if it's against the grain or with the grain or something like that. What would you do with chicken?
With chicken, you don't have to worry about that because there's no grains to that chicken.
Okay, so either way, it's pretty tender.
Exactly. But as you notice, I'm cutting on a nice angle just for a nice presentation.
Now that looks absolutely fantastic. Now I can guarantee you, if I just finished working out and I was starving, I would have no issues devouring all this food right now. It looks and smells so, so good. That looks fantastic.
And all you want to do is just add a little herbs, fresh herbs to that.
Little presentation.
A little presentation, a little bit of height here. Beautiful.
So
Look
let's
at that.
recap this for a second. I'm going to take this chicken off just for 1 second, so excuse me. Let's get this going.
Want to tent that as well?
We're going to tent that so we can enjoy that a little later on. So remember, we use a very traditional Jamaican seasoning rub, and we've done some uncommon things today.
Exactly. What we did was we used a nice chicken breast, skinless and boneless.
As opposed to using the skin on thigh or leg. Now the amount of fat that we save here is pretty huge. About 3 times the amount of fat was saved by using the boneless, skinless chicken breast as opposed to the thighs or the legs. Now this is an absolutely complete, well-balanced meal with all the proper carbohydrates, and the low glycemic brown rice, as you mentioned. We have high protein content here with our lean chicken breast, plus some healthy fats that we use from the coconut milk and the coconut oil. This is the perfect balanced meal.
And not just that, like I said, it tastes incredible.
I'm looking forward to that. So the next time you just finished a workout, you're looking to fuel your body to gain some muscle, we got the recipe for you. Enjoy.